Welcome, Army fans. This is Joe Iacono with GoBlackKnights.com with our post-game analysis from the Army-Lehigh game, season opener for the Black Knights. Army 42, Lehigh 7 was the final score. Pretty much what most of us expected, I think, was a little close early, and then Army just dominated and pulled away, which I think a lot of people expected. I had 51 to 10. Army wasn't going to score 51 points in that game just because there weren't enough big plays. But Army did score a touchdown on all six of their possessions, and you can't really do better than that. The offensive line dominated. Yeah, I understand it's Lehigh. I get it. But about as good of an opener as you could expect from this team. No turnovers, one pre-snap penalty. Offensive line was absolutely dominant, just pushed Lehigh all over the field, had their way with them. Completely dominant offensive line performance. Um, the new old offense, quote unquote, under Cody Worley. I like it. It's I think we're going to see a lot more wrinkles as the season goes along, but a lot of power running, obviously, with Bryson Daly and Kanye Udo and Hayden Reed. Hayden played some slot back as well as some B back. Jake Rendina, kind of some traditional flex bone looks, a little bit of gun, a lot of option plays to the perimeter to Noah Short, Samari Howard. So Army really spread the ball around a lot. I'm going to go through stats before we wrap up, but just look at the touchdowns. Bryson had two touchdowns. Kanye Udo had two touchdowns, including a really special run on his first one where he reached the ball over the pylon on a really good run where he made a number of guys miss, broke some tackles. Noah Short had a big time TD on 4th and 3, along with a big time run to get them down in scoring position there. And then Jake Rendina had the one TD with the second team offense with less than 1 minute left. So that was nice. That was impressive. Really, really impressed with Army's offensive line and the stable of running backs they have. Kanye Udo is special. He is fast. He's powerful. He's shifty. One of the best all-around backs I've seen at Army in quite some time. Really, really strong runner. Going to do some great things throughout the season in the AAC. Bryson looks a lot more confident than he did this time last year. Great power runner, just tough as nails. Great ball security. Other than that one pitch where he kind of tried to make something happen that he probably shouldn't have. But just did a really good job commanding the offense. Looks like the captain back there. Looks like a guy who knows what he's doing. And as Cody Worley said, and they highlighted on the CBS broadcast tonight, playing with a chip on his shoulder, him and the entire offense. Hayden Reed looked really good and really versatile. He didn't get any scores, but he had a lot of big runs early, especially, and he's probably the best blocker of all the backs. Go back and watch him if you recorded the game and watch Hayden block when the other backs are running. It's really impressive. He does a really nice job. Fake punt to start the game with Andon Thomas there on the first drive. Coach Monken said he didn't want the first drive of the season with a new offensive coordinator to end on a punt. So they called the fake with Andon Thomas. Andon runs it down the sideline. Second longest run of the game. Did a really good job. Andon Thomas is very athletic and going to do some great things on special teams and on the defense. Great call by Coach Monken, Coach Saturnio there to make that happen. Coach Monken in the post-game presser said it was a play they had called that if Andon saw something in the defense, he could make that call, and he did. So really good job there. Really not a lot to complain about on the offensive side. No really huge plays. Bryson Daly was good in his passing, missed the one wide open go pattern to Noah Short that would have been a touchdown for sure. Got hit one time when he went to throw the ball. But other than that, not bad. 5 for 8 and pretty accurate overall. I mean, Bryson's never going to be confused for Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, but I think he's doing a really nice job throwing the ball. And as long as he avoids turnovers in that part of the game, I think he's going to be great, along with his running skills and everything he does there. Defensively, a lot of mixed opinions, right? You're playing Lehigh. They probably shouldn't get that much yardage. We didn't do an amazing job stopping the run or the pass. They had a lot of guys wide open. I get all that, but let's bring it back to reality. We had 9 guys on defense start their first game, so the defense is very young. As we discussed in the preseason preview article, where we predicted Army season on GBK, the offense is really going to have to carry the defense the first half of the season at least. Army's best defense this year will be their offense, their ability to possess the ball, put together long grinding drives like the ones you saw tonight, and keep the defense off the field. And their offense executed that to perfection. And if they can do that against Florida Atlantic, they definitely have a chance to go down there and get a W. If they're relying on their defense to win the game, it's probably not going to happen. That being said, Nate Woody, I have come more and more to appreciate what he brings as a defensive coordinator. He really understands what he's trying to accomplish with the talent that he has. That's really important. Um, you know, this Army defense is what it is. They're young, they're inexperienced, they've got some talented guys. Donovan Platt made a heck of an interception in the end zone. Jaden Mays had the big interception earlier in the game at the end of the second quarter. So they've got some talented guys, no doubt about it. I really like Cody Harris Miller on the defensive line. I think he's going to be tough. I like Fortner. I like Andon Thomas. Chance Keith's just really getting his first couple of reps. Ford, Mendoza, a lot of those guys are young out there. Max DiDomenico doing a good job, but left his feet one time on a pump fake, and kind of got burned a little bit. But overall, Nate Woody knows what he has with that defense. He understands his talent level and how to win with them. And as my dad used to say when he was a high school defensive coordinator, you don't get any points for first downs. So I kind of agree with that philosophy, and I think Coach Woody does as well. I don't really care if a team moves the ball up and down the field on us. They don't get it in the end zone. It doesn't really matter. And we've seen this trend when Army plays good defense the last couple of years, especially down the stretch of the season. We've seen them have one of the best red zone defenses in the land. And that's how Coach Woody coaches. He brings a lot more aggression when the other team gets in the red zone. The field tightens up, their speed and size advantages disappear a little bit, and we're able to hang in there and play defense. And I really like Coach Woody's strategy. I think it's really good. I mean, even Coach Monken tonight said that was the game plan, bend but don't break. And he said, they bend a little too much, and he hopefully, as the season goes on, they'll bend less. I completely understand that. I'm sure Coach Woody will have the same feedback. But I think the guy's one of the best defensive coordinators in the land and really understand what he's doing. And it's just, hey, let's not give up the big play. Let's not give up explosives. And if we do that, we can hang with anybody. And really like that philosophy, and it seemed to work really well tonight. Kicking game was good. Obviously, we didn't see any punts, which Coach Monken will tell you is a good thing. But the place kickers, shout out to Anderson Britton, Todd Britton's son, my buddy. Anderson had some really nice kickoffs. All of them went into the end zone, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So really good job from Anderson Britton in his first game kicking off. And then place kicking, Trey Granati, perfect on extra points. And they all look good. They all left his feet with power and some accuracy. So not a lot of testing for the kicking game, but pretty happy with how things went. Like I said, it was a dominant performance, but the score was just kind of grinding and didn't seem dominant, but it was. I mean, 42-7. I don't care who you're playing. That's about as good of an opener as you could expect. And after Army lost to Coastal 2 years ago, and after they lost at Louisiana Monroe last year, this was the offense and the opener that Coach Monken and everybody was hoping they would have. Let's get into some statistics, both team and personal. If we look at the rushing yardage, first of all, so Army ended up with 432 total yards, 57 passing, 375 rushing. They averaged 6.7 yards per rush, which is just going to be great. Like I said, this is their offense. It's a little more multiple and variable, certainly, than the old Brent Davis offense. I think it's a lot more creative and a lot more risk taking. I really like Cody Worley's inventiveness and creativity. But it's way less vanilla than the Drew Thatcher offense from last year, which is too similar to what a lot of other teams are doing. This still takes advantage of Army's strengths, and I think Cody Worley called a great game, even with some well-timed passes that I think we're going to see on down the line there as well. Looking at individual stats, like I said, Bryson went 3 for 6 passing. So we were 5 for 8 total for 57 yards. Dwayne Coleman came in off the bench, went 2 for 2, threw a couple nice passes. Um, Please, Army fans, do me a favor. Don't start calling for Dwayne Coleman to replace Bryson Daly at this point. That's just silly. But I know some of you. So anyway, Noah Short led the team in rushing, 8 carries for 83 yards, 10.4 average, 1 touchdown. Like I said, Bryson Daly was the second leading rusher, 17 rushes for 78 yards. Kanye, 15 rushes for 75 yards, 5 yards per carry average. That dude just beats up defenses, and I can't wait to see what he does in the American Athletic Conference the rest of the way. Hayden Reed, 5 rushes for 32 yards. Samari Howard got in the action, 2 rushes for 26 yards. Jake Rendino, 5 for 23. David Clark, who I didn't even know anything about prior tonight, 2 rushes for 18 yards. So this team is super deep at the running back position, and guess what? We haven't even seen yet. Tyrell Robinson was in civilian clothes. So just jersey and sweatpants. So when he comes back, which will happen, I don't know when, but sometime this season, that just adds one more weapon to the arsenal. This is the most exciting backfield I've seen at Army in a really long time. Leading receiver was Casey Reynolds with 1 catch for 22 yards. Cam Sure had 2 catches for 22 yards. Just all around good opener, solid, right? I get it. It's Lehigh. But you can't complain. I mean, the team played solid. Lehigh was pretty fundamentally sound. They didn't have a lot of self-inflicted wounds except for the 2 picks and a couple penalties. So you can't really beat them up. This is a lot different than like the Delaware State game last year. But now it gets real, right? So now Army starts conference play next week at Florida Atlantic, 12 noon in Boca Raton, Florida. It's going to be hot. They better stay hydrated. I think one of the advantages is all the different running backs Army can insert in the game to keep fresh legs. They also rotate out a lot of offensive linemen and defensive linemen to keep fresh legs. So I think all that's going to help when they go down to Florida Atlantic next week. It's certainly going to be a challenge. In the preseason article, I think I picked Army to win, which goes against what a lot of commentators are saying. I'm not sure. It's really a 50-50 game. It could go either way. But we're going to know a lot more about this Army team after that game. But I think the season starts off about as well as any of us could have hoped for. And also no injuries tonight for Army. That was big time. So Army wins 42-7. Shout out to the offensive line. Just a really good game by them, as well as Bryson Daly for commanding the offense. So great work by the Army team. 42-7. This has been Joe Iacono with GoBlackKnights.com. Get ready. We will continue to bring you great coverage and content throughout the season, player and coach interviews, podcasts with former players, as well as some of the coaches. Might even throw a celebrity at you once in a while, and some great Monday morning quarterback articles by my partner in crime, Gordon Larson. And of course, the ongoing recruiting coverage from A.M. Allen and Charles Grievous. So keep it right here at GoBlackKnights.com for all your Army football news. And this has been Joe Iacono saying, Go Army and beat Florida Atlantic.